Many thanks for joining us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Midday Discourse on Global Television. My name is Samuel Odi, and some exciting news for some persons, and some say it's been long time. It's been past a decade. So now, let me bring you up to speed. After 12 years of waiting for the implementation of the most anticipated reports targeted at reducing the cost of governance through merging, scrapping, and relocating of departments and agencies by Stephen Orosai. So now the information reaching us that the House of Representatives Special ADHOC Committee on Restructuring of Government Agencies and Commissions has commenced the process of reviewing the recommendation of the Stephen Orosai report. The report aimed at reducing the cost of governance through merging, scrapping, and relocation of some departments and agencies of the government. Was submitted to the federal government in 2012. The report on public sector reform revealed 541 stationary and non-stationary federal government parliaments, commissions, and agencies. On February 26, 2024, the Federal Executive Council meeting presided by Mr. President Bola Tinubu approved the implementation of report to reduce the cost of governance, according to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris. According to the recommendation, 29 government agencies would be merged, even as 8 parliaments would be submitted into 8 other agencies. More so, 4 agencies have seen relocated for various ministries, while 1 was embarked for scrapping. The FEC mandated a committee headed by the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, George Akam, to review the report and submit recommendations. Addressing journalists on Tuesday at the National Assembly Complex, Abuja, the committee chairman, Isiaka Ayokunle, justified the need to review the report. He said, "We must revisit the recommendation of Orosai's report and other permanent pairs to ensure that we are aligning our government structure with the current realities, best practice, and the challenging needs of our society." He added, "The world is evolving rapidly, and our government agencies and commissions must be structured in a way that enable them to deliver their mandates effectively and efficiently." Ayokule, who represented the Eworo Federal Constituency of Ogun State, noted that through the review, the committee hoped to identify redundancy, duplications, inefficiency, and areas of improvement within the federal government agencies and commissions. Our goal is to apply the legislative approach in streamlining operations, eliminates duplication of functions, enhancing services delivery, and optimize resources allocation. This review would be comprehensive and through taking into coherence the diverse perspectives and expertise available to us. As he said, Ayokunle said, "We acknowledge the importance of stakeholders' engagement in the process, and we will require input from various stakeholders, including government officials, experts, civil society organizations, and the general public." The committee, according to him, would hold a one-day public hearing on the matter on July 10th in Abuja. So I just wanted to bring you all up to speed, because this was also brought about again in April 21st, this same year, when this whole matter of Orosai's reports came in hand. So it's been 12 years, over a decade now. Is it late than never, or it's happening at the right time given the economic challenges we're having? This and more would be extracted on today's edition of Midday Discuss, as I'll introduce my guests to you after this short break. Do stay with me, I'll be right back.
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Juma and Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
Hello, children. Gather around, let me tell you a story. Do you know that stories have a way of captivating the minds of children, bringing fun and imagination to teach them morals? Join Sharon Ajay as she takes you to explore the thrilling and exciting world of storytelling.
I'll be sharing with you our next interesting story.
Tune in every Saturday on Global Television, time 5:30 p.m.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Are you a food lover? Do you care about your health and nutrition? Are you interested in exploring the diverse culinary traditions from around the world? Then look no further. Introducing Lunch Global on Global Television, a show that takes you on a delicious journey through the world of food, nutrition, and diet. So, whether you're a seasoned foodie, a health enthusiast, or simply curious about the world of food, Lunch Global has something for everyone. Tune in Mondays to Fridays and let your taste bud take you on a journey of flavor, culture, and discovery on Lunch Global. Bon appetit!
Many thanks for joining us after this quick break. And like I said, I'll be introducing my guests shortly. But before I introduce my guests, I still want to bring you all about, it's about ministries now and how much would be, allocated. Now we are looking if the federal government and the House of Representatives want to look if they would have a need to scrap some agencies. And now they want to see the main brain behind all of this is because most of these ministries tend to, take so much in our budgets. And I'm going to be bringing you up to speed with the 2024 educational budgets for the budget for education, Ministry of Education, health sector, infrastructure, and other relative bodies as well. So now we're going to start off with education, but before I get in to telling you what the number is for education, I'm going to introduce my guest to you at this time, person of Deacon Michael, my leader from the South.
Good afternoon, Samuel.
Thank you so much for
good
joining
to be here
us.
with you once again.
Yeah, nice pink shirt.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so now let's just get in deep. Before we get into the figures of these ministries, it's been 12 years since Steve Orosai came out with this report. Do you think now is actually a right time, or it's long overdue? Do you think this implementation should have been done for a long time ago?
Yeah, I mean, earlier before the lawmakers are now moving to review the reports, we saw how the president was in a rush to implement. And we're asking several questions. What happens to some constitutional clause that is on that particular report, where before you can destabilize the already structured ministries and agencies. There are procedures on how the acts and the bills that led to its establishment. So before you can go about having to review and to actually bring it into merging some ministries and parastatals together, there must be an authentic move from the legislation. I mean, a bill or an act to review that kind of move. But we saw how the president was so much in a hurry to implement the report. Yes, Nigerians are saying, good and fine, it is even overdue that for over 12 years, we had to wait to now review this. But what is more particular about this report is about the cost of governance. And the questions you are asking the federal government is, does merging ministries and parastatals have any effect on reducing cost of governance we have in this country? Are we saying that we'll reduce, the legislators we have at the House of Reps, over 365, over 109 senators at the Senate, where practically some persons are arguing that they are really not having a lot to do. So we can actually have a legislative where you come to sitting, go back to your state or your constituency, maybe probably twice, 3 times in a month, and then probably will pay you allowances at your appearances in this Senate. How about the House of Reps? What are they doing? What can we really point out to? So that's the argument by Nigerians. Because several times you see the budget of the National Assembly. It's not in any way, compared to what we have in the ministries. Good and fine. We are seeing that some ministries are overlapping, the order. So we have these issues of where people are doing the similar, doing some similar jobs about of the other ministries. Just like the VIO now and the road safety. Exactly. We cannot even have, VIO is even not really recognized in the constitution. So a body like, for instance, you now look at in the communication sector, we have NCC. And then we also have, is it NCDIC, who are also having to do some roles that they are also playing. So all of these are, there's no strike of balance within the ministries, fine. But there are other situations that we must pay attention to. How about jobs? People are going to lose their job. We are having the statistics of unemployed, population in the country right now. So a moment where you are merging other ministries, particularly to reduce cost of governance. You have a way of reducing casual staff who were working in some ministries and parastatals. You have a way of reducing even people that were authentically employed, because sometimes we may not have the ministry having a capacity to handle some of these influx or merge or the merging. How about someone that was a director in a particular ministry or agency? Would you now say that he's coming to struggle with with the other office of a certain director? In the new ministries that you're trying to merge together. So there are questions that they must begin to answer. So I feel it's a good direction that the House of Reps at this time are having to review, to look at the report, to tell Mr. President, please hold on. I know you are in a hurry to reduce cost of governance. I know you are in a hurry to merge and to look at several other reports that is concerned on the Oran Sale report. But then, let's follow it constitutionally. Let's use legislative hands to be able to handle all of this. I feel by that way, we'll be able to come to a result, a resulting end for Nigeria.
Still, before we even get into the figures, because the figures are actually numerous and they're very, very cumbersome. Before we get into that, there's this, you made mention of scrapping, maybe if we are to merge people, that means obviously there are going to be a head court. There's going to be a head court of staff. Now, looking at this angle now, what does this mean to those that are actually not, key staff? If they should get scrapped now, what does this tell? Because looking at the current economy, before the president gets deep into scrapping this, what do you think the policies should be put in place? Should there be other means of creating jobs? Should he create more jobs, or what does he need to have on ground first before they look to maybe scrap or probably merge ministries together?
When you look at the report already, from what we're seeing, that 29 government agencies will be merged, into 8 parastatals, and all of these things. It's a lot. It means that a lot of reformations will be carried out. But I similarly understand the need to do this. But as we said, we have people that are casually being attached to some of these ministries and parastatals. That over 10 years now, 5 years now, some of them it has been the source of their livelihood. So that we are not having a system that can be able to accommodate some of this pressure, because there will be a lot of pressure. You are pushing a lot of people back to poverty, where we are having people's life already at danger due to the current state of the economy, where we are having the minimum wage of workers not even reviewed. So now that you are even, taking their jobs from them, in one way or the other, casual staff who will not I mean, they don't even have the chances, of also, merge together, when we have staff already that are, that are already with the government.
Yeah.
So these are the risks that is involved, and we are afraid because when you understand what is pushing a lot of people to criminality, when you see what is pushing a lot of people to depression, or all of these social crimes we are finding today in our society, it is some of the statistics. Unemployment is actually on the high side. So we are thinking, for us to strike a balance, let government start showing example. Can we see the president also reducing the numbers of ministerial appointments he's giving out? Can we see the president reducing number of personal assistants and ACs he's doling out every day? Can we see the president reducing appointment? Look at the appointment ever since president came on board. You can place them. And some of these appointments comes with SUVs, come with a whole lot of locations, which sometimes is not even substantial to what a civil servant, 10 civil servants are earning in the span of 5 years. So we are questioning, can we start seeing leadership from the presidency itself? Can we now see leadership from the Senate themselves, who are our leaders? For them to save, a lot for economy, let's also see that they are also by themselves making sacrifices. So that the cost of governance will not just be one-sided. You can't be tackling the poor civil servants, the poor workers who are in the ministries and agencies and parastatals of government. Can we also see what themselves are trying to do in a bid to salvage the situation? Because we understand, really, that we are in a very dicey situation. But let everybody, pay the price. It shouldn't just be one-sided. You can't be telling other people to make sacrifices when you yourself, you're not making sacrifices. So that is another argument by Nigerians about this issue.
Yes, so now looking at it now and to validate what more you said, 133 million Nigerians are currently living in debt abject, multi-dimensional as it's being projected by statistics, multidimensional poverty, level of poverty. So now, if this happens now, is scrapping important or just merging? Because if you are to merge, that means you're going to merge, but merging now is going to probably reduce electricity bill for some sectors. So is scrapping really, really important, or just sticking to merging instead of making people go out of jobs?
Yeah, I understand that the world is moving, and rapidly. Where we understand that digitalization is long taking over jobs, and we also see how AI, the outbreak of AI is also taking a lot of replacement, robotic engagement, and all of those things. Doing some jobs ordinary that 5 people were doing before. So it also to the fact that it's also a signal, but. Before we arrive at how we had jobs, secured by people 10 years ago, and right now is actually at the point of danger to them, because it's at the verge of a lot of people are afraid that they may be losing their jobs already, which is at stake about the scrapping news. Let's also go back to our curriculum, because we understand what is obtainable in the universities currently.
Yes.
Every year, universities are having out of graduates.
Graduates, yes.
And then we are still, having the same syllable over and over again in the university.
Yeah.
What are we doing to embrace the digital era that is here? What are we doing to embrace the technology that is already taking over our jobs, that is already threatening, our engagement, that is already threatening our communication, that is already threatening our survival and all of those things? So let's see how they can, Ministry of Education can rapidly, and all the stakeholders in the education sector, go back to universities and also the educational sector to see how they can review some of the curriculum we have in way to encourage people not to rely on government. Because I understand that every Nigerian, 10 out of many Nigerians who graduate from a particular department is looking for government job.
Government job, yes, because it has more security.
And the security that was there, ordinary, because now it's not even secured again because of the pay and all of that. The entitlement that, when you work with government, you are a graduate. That's how some people feel, that when you work with government, you're opportune, you're a full citizen of this country and all of that. Yes. So everybody wants to share from the national cake and all of that. So can we now have people, the mentality shift from that, where we've seen a lot of entrepreneurs making it big times, whatever you can point to what civil servants are earning, because that's where the world is moving towards now. So with that awareness, we can now start driving a lot of people not so much interested about the opportunities in the agencies, opportunities in the ministries. Because if you look at over time, for the past years now, some of the recruitment have been done, silently. Many Nigerians who do not have the capacity of knows the contact of a senator or a minister, sometimes it's not opportune to get this job. So the job has been rotative among who knows who and all of that in the country, which is also a problem. Nepotism has also played in that crisis. Yes. But in as much as we understand that, when we have workers paid, the funds, and it has a way of rotating where a seller, a trader in the market, where a business vendor, where a carpenter, artisan, on that. And there's also a need to start digitalizing our ministries so that they can rapidly work. I've seen how people have had to submit letters in the ministries, and then you have to move from one office A to office B. The transactions, all of the process and the procedures is quite always very
with us. Many thanks for staying with us. And before we went on that quick technical break, we were about to get into the conversation of what happens, what future holds for our up and coming graduates. Now, if ministries should be scrapped, or merged together, what does it tell for the next generation of graduates? Because technically, you have to work if you are a civil servant, you have to work for 35 years. We have lots of people that have been working for way longer than 35 years who hasn't retired yet. So now, what does this mean, Mr. Michael, for the next generation of graduates that will be looking to work for ministries in Nigeria?
It is what me and you are doing. I mean, we are graduates. We know how to start moving from one ministries and agencies and office of the persons to be involved. Let own your skill. We've seen the good of a drive in Africa right now. Technology, AI, blockchain, and all of those things. A lot of people are making it big from this regard. So it's also a room for us to start, decongesting, the already overpopulated population without jobs. So how can we start creating jobs for ourselves? How can we start helping ourselves? How can we start being innovative? How can we start thinking outside the box, not really waiting for what government will do for you, but what also you will do for the country, because already the country is in need of help. So it's now time for young people to understand that away from relying on government jobs and role where your uncle had promised you that when you graduate from university, there's a job waiting for you in a particular ministry, it's now time for you to know that you have to start getting your future and your destiny into your hand by learning one skill or the other, developing your entrepreneurship and leadership skill, and going in there in the world of technology. Yeah,
skill acquisition is really, really key. Now, let's look at the numbers now of most of these ministries, major ministries, basically. Now, looking at the educational ministry, that's Ministry of Education now, which is this budget now I'm about to mention is just for the year 2024, 2.18 trillion budget. So there's a breakdown, 1.23 trillion amount provided for federal ministries of education and its agencies' current and capital expenditure, 251.47 billion amount provision for Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, and there's 700 billion transfer to Tertiary Education Trust Fund for infrastructure projects and tertiary institution. Okay, what's your reaction to this? Is the education supposed to be the top? Let's go to the next, which is health. Health is taking 1.33 trillion, which is 5% of the budget. Breakdown, 1.07 trillion amount provision for federal ministries of health and its agencies' current and capital expenditure, 137.21 billion Grevy immunization funds, including counterpart funding for donor-supported programs, 125.74 billion transfer to basic healthcare provision fund, which is 1% of the project, which is 1% of the budget. And yes, so that is it on health, and that is it on health and education. Now, infrastructure is taking 1.32 trillion, which is 5% of the budget. This includes provision for works and housing, power, transportation, water, resources, and aviation. So social development and poverty reduction programs, 534 billion, which is 2% of the budget, amount provision for social for social development and poverty eradication, basically. So what are your reactions to these numbers? Looking at education now, is this enough given the level of people we have on the streets who are out of jobs, not just out of jobs, but not in schools? Is this budget enough? And do you think the Ministry of Education is doing enough? Because in rural communities, we're having people complain, and then also those that have been, displaced by insecurities from their localities are all in IDP camps and finding it hard to get basic education for their children. So do you think the ministry is doing enough with this budget?
I mean, we are too worried about because of the current sector, education sector, the investment that we're having in that sector. As I said earlier, we've had we're still having a repetition of what was obtainable 10, 20 years ago. We're still having the fact that some of our universities cannot, lecture rooms doesn't have the capacity to accommodate a lot of students we have in the schools. We've seen where even those who are into practical, I mean, finding it very difficult to be exposed to some practical terms due to the fact that we do not have the capacity, the equipment, like in the universities, doesn't have the capacity to handle all of those things. So it's worrisome, because when you look at the infrastructure, what makes education better is the fact that you are creating an environment, a conducive environment for students to be able to learn.
Yes.
So are we really having that rapid development in the university, the educational sector? You can only give that to the private sector, because the private sector are only there to make money, and as well they are setting standard for themselves. But when you understand that good number of the statistics of students are from the public universities and the public institutions.
Yes.
So how do we be able to strike a balance where we can have a good investment into the infrastructure of the university, good investment into the situation of the university, good investment towards the future of this country? Because education is, people often say education is a scam, but no, education is not a scam. Education will always be the future. Even the people that are into technology and whatever sector they are right now, they require some basic education. So there's a need to sustain that tempo of educational investment. Whereas we've had people embezzling funds from education. What are the role of TED Fund? Can we start questioning what TED Fund are doing?
Yeah.
Can we start questioning even what NANS are doing? Are they agitating for the better welfareism of the student, or they are agitating over time because of their own personal gains and interests? So the educational sector in Nigeria have been abandoned. It is sad that even when you look at the salaries we have in the health sector, the educational sector is also facing that same situation, even worse than that, because less attention have been paid to them. Lecturers in the universities are sending their wards and their kids, to private school. Commissioners of government are sending, if there is not private schools in Nigeria, is abroad. Good government officials, and who are they abandoning the public universities or the educational institutions to?
And most of these leaders now actually attended local schools.
They attended the local schools. I've had where my uncle had to tell me that, they were giving them feeding fees, they were giving them free food, free books, and all of those things. Education, in the 80s, 70s was better than what we're having today. So we're having a lot of people running away from, the public sectors, and the pressure is now on the private sector. And the way we're now having these increments of fees and all of this. But there's a need for government, with the allocation that we are having every year on the educational sector, even when it's not really funded, but what has been released should be properly utilized so that we can have a better educational sector in this country, which is also the future of this country regarding this report.
Yes, now let's look at health. Health sector is looking at taking 1.33 trillion, which is 5% of the budget. With cholera currently ravaging over Nigeria, with over 2,000 cases now being recorded. And do you think now the health sector is doing enough? Because it's the raining season, and whenever it's around this time on a yearly basis, we tend to have cholera outbreak for the past few years now. What do you think the health sector now is not doing or should be doing right in terms of curtailing this, and then not also usually having this fire brigade approach?
Yeah, it's also, we are also bringing NCDC, the role of NCDC to all of this to spotlight. 2020, when we had the outbreak of Ebola, we saw how NCDC...
We are so unprepared.
Not just unprepared, even with the funds that were, that was responsive to them. The World Bank, different foreign bodies.
Even celebrities came to donate money.
We had a lot of, investment and donation to the covers of NCDC. Samuel, you may ask them, because their mandate is to prepare ahead of time to handle any outbreaks like cholera. But I tell you that it has turned to a political statement where they will tell you, we've seen 10 cases in this other state. They're trying to put panic in that state. Whereas, we ought to have had NCDC working in all the states to meet up with the standard of if you have confirmed a case, you can be able to manage it. You can be able to, use the mechanisms in place already to be able to drive back, the management process of these disease.
Yes.
But we're having a lot of funds go to NCDC without, proper utilization. I may say because we've not had, we cannot really boost of confidence on that sector. But there's a need for them to go back to the drawing board to know why they were established.
Yes.
NCDC has to do better to manage crises and other diseases that may actually arise in this country. Away from just putting hope on NCDC, the health sector in particular. Doctors, you're having higher statistics of doctors leaving the country every day because of the poor statistics, poor welfareism, to medical doctors and workers. They are exposed to a lot. We've had where doctors are complaining because of lights in the hospitals. We have them complaints of bad equipment in the hospitals. We've had them complain of several issues. But sometimes government are not paying attention to this. But it seems every time they are running out to other countries to be able to, get treatment and all of that. So the moment where our leaders are also taking our health, the health practice in this country serious, I think that's where we'll be able to answer all of this question. But we've had investment by government. Funds have been allocated to that ministry. Funds have been allocated to that sector. Can we have proper utilization of these things? Can we have welfare of our doctors get better so they can, they can in turn remains in the hospital, remains in their community health centers to handle situations like this? Because the moment where these people are living, NCDC or any other body that you set up may not be able to, respond to some of these situations.
I know, Mr. Michael, I know you're a very, very busy man, but before I let you go, I want you to take this one quick one. Defense now is looking to take maybe the higher proportion of the 2024 budget, which is around 3.25 trillion. And now the issue of insecurity is on the rapid. Just recently, Goza in Borno State was bombed, lots of casualties, and a few deaths were recorded, and the vice president himself had to travel all the way to go visit because he of course he's from Borno State, and he was also a governor for that state for 2 years. So now, with all these allocations now going to the defense ministry, do you think enough is being done by the Nigerian army, police, paramilitary, all of those guys in the militaries? Do you think they are doing enough? Or what do you think can be done better for all of these things to be tackling? Because even now it's coming into the major cities where we have issues and cases of one chance.
Even if we have 1 trillion every month released to the security, architecture of this country, the situation will always remain bad. The problem of agriculture, the security sector, is not fund. It's not funding. Government have released good number of funds to that sector. But what's the problem? See, Sambo, security is local. Business of security has to be localized. Before an outbreak of any situation or crisis, there are information gathering used by any other developed country force to combat intelligence to combat them. But in the country today, we've seen that there is a high level of negligence to information gathering. We are only trying to respond to a crisis which already had a plan. These people had a plan, had mobilization, had funding, had all of those things within themselves to launch this attack. What happened to our police? What happened to civil defense? What happened to our military? What happened to everybody? Can't we have, what happens to the fact that NCC every time, monitoring phone calls or monitoring these, having the statistics of everybody, we've had everybody always having NIN. It has been a policy in this country. And how are we still having these people communicate to ambush, different communities, as sad as it is in Borno, most especially in the north. We've had rapid cases, constantly appearing at the north. Then you may understand, even when the governor of Zamfara was speaking earlier last month, he said that if he's in charge, that he will arrest the situation in a day. That is what he said. So it therefore means that there is a need to start internalizing issues of security. There's a need to localize issues of security. Let state government manage the affairs of their security. Because this issue of always having to confirm from Abuja on who to respond to or whose instruction to work for and all of that is a problem. So I feel if every community stand by themselves to defend their community. You cannot come to our community to harm us.
Just like just making sure the vigilante groups are always
exactly. Everybody will start owning their security. You can't come into this building, Samuel. You can't come into this building without, from the gate, security persons checking you. They know the cars that are coming into these premises before you can even get to the studio. That means you cannot get to the studio without passing through processes of getting here. So no action is taken by these terrorists or bandits or whatever name you may give to them without them passing through some of this process. So sometimes some of the community people compromise because they have not been given, the government have not recognized them. Government have not recognized their role that they have to play. So I feel they need to put a stop to some of these security issues. Is first internalizing this and also see how you can embrace the traditional rulers to get involved. We'll have 1 trillion every month given to service chiefs. We'll keep on having more than these cases every day in this country.
Yeah, look at the higher proportion of the 2024 budget has actually gone to security, and then followed by infrastructure and then education. What do you think education should be higher than every other sector? That's now talking about the budget.
Personally, currently, the situation right now is about creating even jobs for the people that have even graduated. Because Samuel, I tell you that we will have more graduates every year, and the statistics on ground is that, see Samuel, the fact is that some Nigerians are not even looking for jobs. They want environment so that they can themselves also be able to do anything. But you see, it's difficult for SMEs right now. A lot of businesses are trying to survive
because of a lot of taxation.
Because of a lot of taxation, a lot of policies, a whole lot of pressure, no circulation of funds to people who would have probably patronized them. All of these skills that they were asked to learn and all of this. So everywhere is dried, generally. So the moment where everywhere is being dried, and money is only in the few hands of individuals, and is circulated on cabal, and you said you want to go and pay attention to, funding education, we'll still have a graduate who are doing the same thing, where these other people were doing the same thing, and same curriculum and all these things, back to already existing population, and the pressure will not be different. Yes, it's good to pay attention to the educational sector, but it's good to fix the economy. What can government do rapidly is to start producing, is to start making our economy stable, is to start creating an environment where entrepreneurs can also make it. It is what Peter Abi said it last week, that it is worse that any country where politicians are richer than entrepreneurs, that country cannot survive it. And it's true, and I agree with him. The moment where we cannot have entrepreneurs being encouraged in all sectors, people that want to do this, having an environment to stay in this country, the young people having the courage to stay, and everybody that have graduated having wanting to do, and also making a survival out of this, I think we'll get better. Because already the private sectors who are also employing, away from what government are employing, are also facing it very difficult to survive. We are seeing a lot of companies, leaving the country and abandoning their project and leaving the country. Some are even pulling out their investment in the country and all of this thing. So it's the situation and the sad situation we are. There's a need to fix the economy, stabilize the economy, so that even when you invest on the education sector, people can have conducive environment to learn, back to practice what they learn in school, so that the country can get better.
Thank you so much, Michael Edikan, for joining us on today's edition of Midday Discourse. That's how much time will permit us to take on today's edition. So we are going to hope for a very more conducive economy and a very more conducive school and healthcare sectors, because with all of this review going on, we're hoping before the implementation happens, a total reform and a total review would be done so that the ministries as well, if they are to be matched or to be scrapped, a whole lot of things need to be put in place. Now, this time around, it's not about putting in policies. We think we need more jobs to be created. We need more avenue for persons or graduates to be able to get jobs. And for those that have been in service for over 35 years, should kindly, give room for the young and upcoming graduates can have something to do. My name is Samuel Odi, and thank you so much for joining us on today's edition. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow with another exciting edition of Midday Discuss. You have a great day. Hydrate yourself. Cholera is out there. Good afternoon.